Hey guys, I'm Yana.
And I'm Kayla, and we're Latte and Foam.
We're here today with a Otome news update. It's been a while since we've done one, but we have some couple topics we want to talk to you about today, so we're going to dive right in. So it's been a while. I don't know if people are still talking about this, but a while back on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, there was a rising of a bunch of tweets and drama in the Love and Deep Space community. And apparently the game company...
Is it Paper Games?
I think, yeah. So Paper Games, but they were going to introduce the idea of the period tracker. So if you've never heard of that, you don't know what that is, a period tracker is what literally it is. Put in all your information about when your period starts or your last one starts, and then basically cycles from there, which should be every 3 to 4 weeks. People do have irregular periods. There's a lot of anomalies, but I find this kind of odd that a game like this would. I think that it's all fine and dandy that you have the 3D models, that you do whatever with that, and that it's supposed to get to know you. But I think that's taking it, to me personally, like a beat way too far. I say this as in the climate that we're in, specifically in the West, in America specifically, where this is having us a bit of an autonomy over your body. And now I know it's going to sound like I'm being dramatic, and it's like, it's just a silly thing. There's lots of period trackers out there. If I were you, my advice is do not use period trackers that are on your device, because there's so much data that can be used against you later, especially in a lot of states that don't allow you to have control over your body as a woman, and you should at any time. My biggest issue too, from someone who's worked in data, you don't know where that data is going to. It's not like you're reading through the terms and agreements. You've agreed once you already have the app. Who has access to that data? How long do they store that data? How do they delete that data? All of that stuff. And the issue is your body changes for so many things. So let's say your period is irregular and something happens. If they use that data against you, that's weird. I know that we can all say or make the jokes like, well, maybe it's just for marketing purposes, or we all had when the TikTok ban came up, and the idea is like, well, we gave our data to that. I consented to that. Me consenting and not knowing fully is a whole different ball game. And you just put yourself, specifically as women, and I always want to protect women, why a period tracker personally to me is just not a good idea. And I think that it's just fucking weird that a game that you just are supposed to be in fantasy and like doing that wants to know that. That's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I find it gross.
Yeah, I definitely don't see what it adds to the fantasy. Even if you're looking at it as super duper self-insert and like, this is my boyfriend, who's sharing their exact period dates and ovulation with their boyfriend?
And I'll tell you if I'm on it and like I need something in that moment, but I don't need you to know any of those things one-to-one. And if that's what you want to and you want to share, that's your prerogative. I always just think of it from like such a freaking data perspective. Like, so why do they want that on there? Like, what does that add to the game in any way? Like, while we're adding that, are you adding, a tracker for like my regular calendar? Is there like a texting feature, like a line? Yeah, that's the app. I don't know. In Evermore, it's the game Lime. So like, not the game, it's the app Lime.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, I'm in that mode all the time.
We have to put that on the screen.
Hate to use this as a moment to plug it in, but Evermore is coming to Steam soon. So yeah, check out our Lime.
Soon. Hecka soon.
I feel like, again, if a 3D character was like, hey, your tummy hurting, your tummy rumbling, I'd be like, get out my face. Like, ugh. I feel like, I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, is that, okay, do you know how it actually works? Like, what does it look like in the game? Because I don't play Love and Deep Space, and I don't believe Yana does either, but like, how does it look?
So when we filmed this, it hadn't actually rolled out yet, but as of the first week of March, it did begin to roll out in the form of push notifications. So people were taking screenshots showing that it would basically remind you that your period started and ask if your favorite guy could make you something or get you something. So it seems like their main purpose with it is to get more people back into the app via the push notifications and increase the parasocial like bond that you have with the in-game characters.
I can't. I would find that so odd. And it takes me out the fantasy of it. I just think you're supposed to enter and you're supposed to have a fun time. The game has like a lot of other elements. There's so many other things. Again, it's not a game I would have liked it if it was on console, honestly. Like, I would play if it was on console. I think that there's so many innovative things that it's done. Letting you have the 3D model, posing with the characters, so many smaller features that are in it. That should be enough. I find that it's just weirdly invasive and just cringy. I don't like period trackers at all. I just think that they're so... because you don't really know what they're doing with that data, it's so unsafe in a grand scheme of things for women, specifically women in America, and that's just not it, She's not a girl's girl for me.
And I know Love and Deep Space has a really young player base. Like, there's a lot of minors that play the game, so they might not be educated on that or don't understand why it might be a little bit weird. So if you happen to be one of those people and you're watching, just be wary and cautious of using that. But this is a good segue into our next topic, because when this period tracker feature was announced, it made waves. It was going all over major platforms. I think IGN may have even posted about it. And when something gets that big, it gets into beyond the audience of the target audience, which is Otome game players and young women, and it gets to the boys. And this one got to the boys, and they looked into Love and Deep Space, and they had a lot of nasty things to say about it, and there was kind of an all-out war throughout February, which was supposed to be the month of love. And yeah, it all started when this gamer, Tectone, I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it, I'll put it on the screen. He had a mega viral tweet that said, "A message to every woman. A Gooner game isn't just an over-sexualized game. It's also games that attempt to farm parasocials to feel like the video game character cares and understands you more than those in real life. So yes, lads, adding a period tracking feature is for Gooners. Shut the up with y'all trying to act like y'all different."
Ew.
So it got a little intense at the end there. But this was very much what was going around. It was a lot of male gamers or just male nobodies saying that it's a Gooner game, which, if you don't know, that's basically like doing intimate acts to yourself while playing a game, is what they're saying. Not sure how that ties into the period tracking feature, honestly, and I'm not sure why it was that, and not some of the other stuff I've been seeing, because I don't even think these men have seen what I've seen on my feed about Love and Deep Space. Like, the 3D model thing, people have been basically acting out sexual acts with the 3D model characters.
They be acting out of pocket. Let's not lie. Some of y'all ladies really need to, y'all need to be on a leash.
I don't care about seeing that stuff. That's fine. That's, I might not personally be interested in the game, but I love to see people have fun. But the fact that it was just the period tracker news, and it wasn't even all of that that made them think that, they would probably explode if they saw the stuff that we see on Otome Tweet. This spurred a lot of different guys to share their opinions, and a lot of them, it was almost their first time realizing that women also have games where there's something or somebody that they're attracted to in the game. Like, they've had that forever, right? And so they're like, oh, all of a sudden the competition's going up for me. You were never ever going to be with that girl. Like, whether or not I play Love and Deep Space doesn't change who I'm gonna choose as a partner when I'm out in the world.
Yeah, these are 3 guys, husbandos that they really, really like. What they do in the privacy of that on their own is such a weird thing that a guy is thinking about. Why are you thinking about what a girl does in her bedroom? That's not you. What does that say? Loser behavior. You're mad because it's not you and it never will be you. You're never going to get picked. And that whatever woman, your dream fantasy woman, would never look twice at you. But I bet you anything, she would look twice at a 3D character that she loves. So don't.
There was this other opinion emerging that, oh, you guys get so upset that we hypersexualize women in our games, and you guys are doing the same thing. I feel like that's the total wrong way to look at it. It's okay, so if it was okay for you to do that for so long, why do you now have a problem when you did that the whole time? And now you have a problem with it? No.
I think it's this this desire to equalize the playing field, but they're actually not the same at all. A lot of men in this space, and I know it's mean to generalize, but a lot of that is we over-sexualize women in a very, very weird way that it comes across. It goes into cycles of violent ways. They don't let the women be autonomous. A lot of women in the Otome space, yes, you can say they sexualize, which a lot of the characteristic is supposed to be that way, I feel like, but also it's the romance behind it and the story behind it, whereas men are she has tits, I love her, that's it, and I would it's such a weird difference, and I think needing to equalize it is so wrong.
Yeah, that's how I feel, especially here. I know in Japan, Korea, China, there's kind of more one-to-one games that have been popular forever, Just like how there's Tokimeki Memorial for boys, there's the Tokimeki Memorial girl side, and the one for boys actually came first, of course. But here in the West, I feel like when it comes to romance or any kind of intimate acts with women in games, it's like a sideline thing. Like I think of like GTA. I'm gonna have non-consensual intercourse with this sex worker, and that's my little fun, but that's not the main point of the game. The romance interactions are always a sideline thing, whereas this is, like Yana said, a whole story and deep plot, and there really isn't that much intimacy unless Love in Deep Space you can pay extra for the gacha cards that have those bonus stories, but it's more of a normal story, and I feel like people just weren't getting that from this exposure to the game.
Then we come to the criticism of it being parasocial.
There can be a transference, and this isn't just central to Otome by any means. I think categorizing that way is the issue. This has happened before where people have transference to a character that they love so much, even though they don't know that it's not real. We see, like, there was, like, the AI that was talking to a young boy who eventually, committed, and because of that, like, you can have transference and parasocial issues, but I think it's very unfair to say that like that's just Otome women who did that, because that's not true.
Yeah, that's just a human thing that can happen.
Yeah, you do have to be careful. I never agreed with like role play accounts when you're faking being an anime character and like doing the responses. Maybe that you did out of fun. I find them odd. I think that again, you just have to be really careful because you don't know who's really behind that screen, what intentions they have for you. You are in charge of your own self, but anything can be parasocial. We see it all the time with, who was it that I think you had like another point that some girl had called, I think one of the guys her boyfriend, and like a lot of people freaked out.
Yes, this is a sideline story that I found while doing research for this. So there is this Chinese rapper. I got so excited when I saw this because I happen to actually know who they were. Their name is NINEONE. It's like all caps. And I watched a TV show. I forget the name of it, but it's basically a challenge show where singers, dancers, and rappers all compete to be like the star at the end and become famous, basically. And she was on there and she did really good. I think she's a pretty talented rapper. But apparently she plays Love in Deep Space and she is pretty popular online, even if she didn't win the show. She said something about one of the characters being like her boyfriend. Like all of us do say that online about characters. And a bunch of like people in China actually got really mad that were super into the game. Like, you can't claim him, you don't know him like that I do. It was crazy. And when all of that happened, it became a story, mostly from what I can tell, it was like a Chinese news story. Maybe that's why I didn't hear about it when it happened back in the fall of last year. And then another male rapper actually made a commentary about her, like a whole diss track, saying women who play Otome games in general, saying it's poisoning the youth. And Paper Games actually got his song taken down because he showed footage of Love in Deep Space when he was saying the diss. So I couldn't find the song or the video or anything. I just saw articles about it.
Okay, popping in and editing to say I found a screenshot of his post announcing the track, and actually it seems like the text in his post solely focuses on his call out of the game company Paper Games for having poor age restrictions for a game that does have a lot of 18+ content available and intense microtransaction and gacha systems. He's basically doing a public service announcement to all of the parents for these two facts, which he feels are disgusting. He does not call out women in general or adult women in this post. Also saw some articles saying that he was actually defending NINEONE and saying that the people that were attacking her are children, and children should not be playing this game. And I actually very much agree with that statement. The opinion of netizens in China seems to be completely mixed. It's said that at first he got a lot of support, that hate from fans of the game began to trickle in, then Paper Games swiftly made their post, demanding that PACT apologize, remove everything, and they threatened serious legal action, saying they would be pursuing this matter to the very end, seeking justice through the law, and that they don't take damages to their reputation lightly. Their statement was viewed 344 million times on Weibo, which I believe is like a Chinese version of Facebook. And when PACT responded by just deleting everything, that's when a lot of the people who were initially supporting him started to not support him because they thought that he wasn't actually standing up for what's right and he was so easily easily scared away. Again, this is a mix of information that I'm getting from online sources, including Shine, trending on Weibo, and Reddit. Let us know what you think of his original post, stating that the game should have higher age restrictions that are not in name only or easily bypassed.
And yeah, that's another story that I saw about Love in Deep Space. So Love in Deep Space is definitely really popular because it is now going and being known by people who are not the target audience whatsoever, which is kind of a good thing for Otome games in general. I like that people are aware of them, but at the same time it comes with new waves of hate and judgment and all of that, which I don't like.
Yeah, sames. And for our final topic of the night, what's nighttime for me?
Yeah, it's nighttime for us.
Is a Mystic Messenger, and it's been forever since Mystic Messenger has been in the news. She was always that girl back in the day. Do you all remember getting up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to answer a call from your favorite guy, which is so crazy because it was clearly operating on like Korean time, so that's why they were like in the end of like middle of the night. I didn't like understand that because I'm like, I know you're not calling me at 1 a.m. but guess what my ass was doing? Getting my ass up and answering those calls. That's what I'm saying. Like the transference is like, it's a thing. You get so involved in the game, of course you're doing that. Anyway, Mystic Messenger was so freaking iconic and amazing, and the art was beautiful and wonderful, and all the characters and all the ways you can go, good, bad endings. Like it was intense. And then a few years ago, I don't know if it was a few years ago, it was like 2 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was. I want to say it was 2022, so it was technically a few years ago. They released the Zoom, and it was like very evident that the Zoom was using AI. The art was very, very inconsistent altogether. And I think the Zoom just seemed freaking boring. What they thought was going to happen did not happen at all. I think it's had its little longevity. It was such a weird oddball game. I say this because I've played Nameless, I've played Dandelion, and I've played Mystic Messenger. They're really great cohesive games to each other, like how they play out, what you do, how involved you get. There's some gameplay elements in Dandelion. There's gameplay elements, obviously, in Mystic Messenger. I think that was like its cornerstone pillar. So for the Zoom to fall off so bad when they already had like a very good predecessor and the like bones of a game kills me.
It took so long for the Zoom to come out.
Yeah, especially for how long. It was years that it took. And so for it to like had introduced lore of like Jumin's past, which really didn't correlate with the regular like Mystic Messenger, and the art was like completely different because it was AI. But Cherry promised that they would not let AI seep into Mystic Messenger. That was off limits. I do know that they use like fan art from time to time, or like, you know, when there's other people in the fandom that they'll give like really good art, and they use that too. I think that's actually so wonderful and cool and awesome. You know, we post when people do chibis of our characters. I think that that's totally valid. AI though is a totally different beast, and so they clearly have been using AI to release like promo stuff for Mystic Messenger because they still released DLC, and the girlies were not with it. Which is so, I think, kind of funny because, like, Kayla and I clocked that immediately. Like, when the Zoom was doing it, her and I were, like, on their necks. We're like, hey, that's AI.
And I think we've discussed it on here, like, how we feel that the Zoom might be using AI for the imagery and some of the convos because they're a little bit lackluster compared to Mystic Messenger. They haven't come out and said that that's what they do, but that's just like kind of what we think. Why did nobody else say anything about that? Like, yeah. I feel like we, from the beginning, we clocked that it was AI. We were like, it's so inconsistent. Like, in one CG, he looks one way. The next, he looks another way. Sometimes the hair color was changing. The body shape was changing. It was super inconsistent. And everyone was just like, no, the Zoom is good. The Zoom is good for the supporters. And then now, all of a sudden, it's different.
But I know a lot of people saying, like, I'm so discouraged. But I'm like, are you, though? This is what they've been doing for a while now. Who knows how long before it started? And I think my consensus is that when you trust a game or you like a game or, like, a big franchise, people have a lot more empathy for it, or, like, they have a lot more bandwidth to accept the bullshit, which I don't understand because I feel like other games that are maybe smaller tend to go through more of the ringer of, like, well, you did all this wrong and, like, you should be better. But I'm like, really? Because have you seen that other game? I mean, they don't care. I'm not saying this is every single time, but I think of this as in, like, if your best friend did something wrong, you're more likely to take up for them because you're like, but I love them, I know them, versus somebody you just met. You're like, I don't know you, so I don't care. And, like, yeah, you're wrong, in my opinion. I think that's really, truly what it is. you know?
Yeah, I think Mystic Messenger in particular was really beloved. The Zoom, I honestly, while it had a little moment when it first came out, again, it took so long to come out that I think a lot of people were kind of lukewarm on it, or they were expecting a lot because of how long it took to come out. And what they got was kind of lukewarm. I feel like I don't see people tweet about the Zoom as much or talk about the Zoom as much. Now, because Mystic Messenger was releasing updated DLC, that is what kind of garnered the eyes on them. Still though, I see, like you said, people are just diehard fans. I saw some posts about it in Reddit, and some people in the comments were like, it's not AI. They've always changed up their art style from time to time. And while it is true that they did have a slight art change up a few years back because the people who were doing the original art were no longer available to do it, this is something completely different, and it's clearly AI.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my thoughts on it too. So it's like, we just gotta call them out, these big companies, and say like, hey, caught your ass. Like, hey, not right. Hey, hate this. It's just sad because that game was, I love that game still, eat that shit down. I wish I could go back in time and just play it again for the first time, and that feeling of like the fun and excitement you got from it, wanting to stay up all night and do it. I just love that game so much. So it's just so sad to see it do. And like, in this world of like Love and Deep Space, it's so hard to compete with a mobile gacha game sort of thing, but Mystic Messenger blew all of those games out of the water. I'm sorry, but they did. Like, it was so innovative, it was so cool, it was so fun. They really were the inspiration for other games. So I feel like for them to like kind of fall to the wayside, like, come here, Grandpa, it's okay, let's put you in a home.
For its time too, like, it was so crazy for its time. Like, it was a phenomenon for sure. And I don't know this for a fact, but I kind of felt that they were more of an indie team just based on their projects that they were doing. You know, they started with the 2 projects on PC, which was going to be Dandelion and Nameless. And then this was their first time, like, kind of changing it up and pioneering. And it was so successful. It made so much money. And so to see them just cut corners like this is really disappointing because you guys know we're game creators as well. And art is expensive for sure. It is, like, for our Kickstarter for Snowkissed Romance, it's over 60% of what we're asking for is all just to artists. As it should be, you know, they deserve to be paid well, and we want lots of beautiful art in our games, so that's how it goes. But just to see them fall so far when they didn't have to, and they're a big company, it hurts. It hurts because I feel like there was a soul in the team, and now there's, like, not.
Yeah, so it's sad, but yes, art is so important, you know, and how artistry alive is by not, you know, succumbing to the AI of art. But when I do think of art, I do think of our game. We are, if you guys don't know, we're relaunching our Kickstarter campaign. The last time we got 50% of the goal. This time we are going for gold to get 100% of the goal. And we are launching in late April. If you have not already signed up for our pre-launch page, definitely sign up for our pre-launch page. If you're watching this after we've already released, go to our Kickstarter, and if you would like to donate to us, that would be fantastic.
And since it is our second Kickstarter, it is going to be an entirely new page. Like Yana said, it's all or nothing. We only got to half, so everyone was refunded, and now we're trying again from ground zero. And it's a completely new URL, so definitely check what I have in the pinned comment. If it's on pre-launch, you'll be able to get notified, and if it is out, you'll be able to back us, so please do.
And another last announcement, we are releasing Evermore on Steam. It'll be available on Mac and PC, so definitely check out for all of that. We have so much more to come. We're so excited. And yeah, I think that's it for our Otome news video, guys. If you guys have any other juicy topics you want us to talk about, definitely comment below, like all this great stuff, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.